Here is a 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander XLE in midnight black metallic over black soft tech interior. This is all new for Toyota in the sense of a vehicle that's over 200 inches long. But it's off the same nameplate as the Highlander because people wanted more space for the third row and cargo. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to explain why this is one of the best mid-size SUVs. Standard LED headlights. The XLE will not receive fog lights. You'll get that on the limited trim. They will be LED. LED headlights will be standard on the limited trim. All the Grand Highlander will have 8 inches of clearance, so it doesn't matter the trim that you get there, except the grille. The enlarged grille will be in the black. The lower will have the matte black. I like how it's a boxy look, and it has a similar attribute to the new Sequoia. All models will have the same suspension layout, which is an independent McPherson strut front, a multi-link rear suspension. Wheels start at 18-inch multi-spoke. When you get into the limited, it's now a 20-inch. Platinum will also be a 20-inch. It'll have a two-tone to distinguish the difference between both of them. This is all-wheel drive, so we have the terrain response, and this one's powered with kind of the sweet spot because it's not the max hybrid. This is the turbo. You will be losing 97 horsepower and 90 pound-feet of torque, but this is not the smallest variant in the sense of the 2.4-liter turbocharged four-cylinder. 265 horsepower is pumped out of this with 310 pound-feet of torque. Paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, so you're going to achieve 21 mpgs for the city, 27 mpgs for the highway. When you get into the max hybrid, you're getting a 6-speed automatic transmission. Going into the comparable rivals like the new Mazda CX-90, this is going to be able to tow the same, and actually a little bit more so depending on the tier that you choose there. All trims, 5,000 pounds of towing. So it's going to be the same as the refresh Honda Pilot. The difference here is this is going to be longer than both two of them, in which that's why it has that grand name to it. And if you're considering, well, this is going to be too long for me, it's only around 4 inches longer than the standard Highlander. Standard LED taillights. When you start going up the tier, everything's LED for the center light bar. On the lower, you're going to have all the matte black, no exhaust outlets, and it sets up a little bit higher for the clearance in the rear than the new Sequoia, but it keeps a very similar attribute to the Highlander. The only difference here is you don't have any bumper. It's more flat, more boxy, keeping the similarities even with the script in the center. Standard liftgate, and the Platinum trim will offer height adjustments. Going to 20.6 cubic feet of storage underneath the floor. You get a little bit of storage and an area to put the privacy cover. Split fold the rear bench in the back at a 40-60 split. That's going to increase the cargo to 57.9 cubic feet. Split fold the second row at a 40-60 split, and that will increase cargo to 97.5 cubic feet, which is the best in class. This is the new turbo four-cylinder. We need to go inside and start it up so you can hear that exhaust note. Ten-way power seat adjustment, soft tech black seats, 6-way power seat adjustment for the passenger, standard heated front seats. If you want the ventilated, you have to go to the Platinum trim. Headroom, not going to be an issue in the Grand Highlander. The same thing with leg space. It's a long vehicle outside, and they give you space inside. The dashboard carries on with the Highlander scheme. It's just more wide. So you'll have storage right in the front for the passenger with a USB port. 12.3 touchscreen is going to be standard. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio, Wi-Fi hotspot. Put it into reverse and it's a standard reverse camera. The lines do move. What I like about it is this feature here. If it's dirty, clean it right on the fly. I think that is so cool. Tri-climate control settings is also standard with a QI charger and 2 more USB ports and storage right next to the push button. A large pocket that you can throw anything you like. I just put the key fob for the Grand Highlander. Cup holders, going to get the leather around the shifter. The driving mode select, which has Sport, Eco, Normal, Mud and Sand, Rock and Dirt. It's going to be more sporty. This opens up and you have a little pocket right here that you can put anything that moves around. You can lift this up, and it's a deep storage pocket. Just to show you how deep this is, look at this. I'm pretty much almost losing my whole arm. There is a 12 volt right here also. Steering wheel is a multi-function with adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, 3-spoke, and the gauge cluster is a 7-inch TFT display that can go through an array of information for the driver, different settings, and any messages for the vehicle. The dashboard and the door panels integrate together. I like the satin aluminum that brushes into the air vent, and it's going to be soft where it needs to be, one touch up and down for all the windows, otherwise it's going to be everyday materials. Storage pocket is about the same size as the back seat, which you'll see, and you can hold a total of 13 cup and bottles throughout the cabin. Optional pano moonroof we have with a auto dimming rear view mirror. For the second row, headroom is not going to be a problem. Air vents are going to be in the ceiling, and leg space is also really good. You can move these forward, which will make it a lot more optimal for backseat occupants, in which I would not be able to fit. And these also recline back, which makes it a little bit more relaxing. Third climate control, that is standard. Heated rear seats will be in the limited trim. USB ports, 12 volt, and a home plug will also be on the limited trim. Storage behind both of the front seats. Standard sunshades for the second row. Everyday material is basically going to be found everywhere. It's a longer door than the standard Highlander. You got storage for a smaller phone up front, and then down below you got a lot of storage that you can fit probably 3 or 4 bottles. In the center, it's going to be soft. It also will adjust with the 40-60 split. The floor is not completely flat, but you more or less have an area for your feet. Butt and shoulder space will also not be a problem. And because we have the optional pano, headroom is actually not bad. To enter into the third row, pull the lever and it just slides forward. Because it's a longer vehicle than the standard Highlander, you're gonna have a lot of space back here. I have the seats all the way back, so you can see it would be very difficult if they're reclining. But if you're sitting normal, you actually have the best leg space in class. 3 cup holders in the side, USB port, large windows, air vents on the roof, and headroom is not going to be an issue. Plus these seats also recline back, sliding into the center. Like I said, I have the seat back. I'm not going to be able to fit. But just to show you for butt and shoulder space, if the seats are back, it's not going to be something that's doable. But if it's about normal, you'll be against the seats, but you can still kind of sort of fit 3 adults. Headroom isn't going to be too bad. The Toyota Grand Highlander, 2.4 liter 4-cylinder, 265 horsepower is definitely motivated enough. 310 pound-feet of torque is something that I like, because if you're comparing it to the old V6 engine, this has more torque. It will have a little bit less horsepower. Look at this. You catch up with traffic without any issues. Over 200 inches long. It's 4 inches, give or take, longer than the standard Highlander. Does it feel like that inside? It kind of does, because it's also a little bit over 2 inches wider, but that's because they have given so much space in the front. It's going to take me to some pros and cons, and starting off with the pros about the vehicle: best in class for third row, best in class cargo, towing, a lot more standard amenities for a price tag that can be right around $50,000 to under $50,000. On the cons, you have to go up the tier to get the fog lights, to get the heads-up display. This little area here, if you don't lock it, you'll constantly move it back and forth. Not a huge fan of the way Toyota does the movements for the second row, because it has like 3 different buttons or levers that you have to use. Could be a little bit more simplified. The front, though, did a great job, just no pass-through. They have a somewhat pass-through for the passenger side, which is good, but it would really open up a lot more real estate for the front occupants. 13 cup and bottle holders throughout the cabin, that is good. And if you're looking in the front, the Expedition is about 8 to near 9 inches longer than this, and you're getting just as much capacity to fill up the cabin. So I think Toyota did a good job with that. Turbo at, I'm gonna slow down to see how well she really performs at like a 35-ish, and I'll give her a go. that 310 pound-feet of torque. You can see it kind of kicks you back, so it does have that playful attribute. I feel like I'm sitting higher up, and the door panels are also raised up, so it makes you have that illusion like you're in a very large vehicle. So if you are looking to upgrade because the Highlander is too small, 4 inches longer, it's not going to sound like a huge difference, but it is kind of a night and day difference for third row and storage capacity. Turn radius, I'm going to have to kind of go slow because it's a longer vehicle. I'm imagining 3 lanes, and that's almost what you're getting. Here we go. Comparing to Subaru and Honda, you're gonna have more torque, more horsepower than Subaru. And if it's going against the Mazda CX-90, here it just has a lot more storage and functionality in the front. The new Pilot kind of gives a little bit more storage capacity than all of them. The Ascent will be a little bit more tight for the first and second row. Third row is going to be the smallest because that is one of these smaller vehicles in the comparison. The steering has a little bit of weight. It's going to feel very boaty because it's also a little bit taller than the standard Highlander, but the braking and for everyday feel feels pretty much very similar to the Highlander, just a little bit more comfortable. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Stadium Toyota for giving us this 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander XLE for our car review.